Hey, backcountry.church, welcome to episode 2 of the series, The Climb. And I just climbed that mountain, Lassen Peak, in Lassen Volcanic National Park. It's amazing. It was a great climb. The trail is very well marked. And here's the crazy part, is that is an active volcano. How do I know? Because in 1914, it erupted and it blew, and all the lava and new rocks from inside of the earth that came out. It's incredible. The views are great. I'm going to take you on a little tour after this message in episode 2 of The Climb. And the subtitle of this series is Navigating the Struggles of Life. There are always struggles. Jesus said, in this world, you're always going to have trouble. And as I said in the last episode, it amazes me. I was always under the impression, hey, the older you got, the easier it is. You know, you got more conveniences, struggles go away. I got the memo. That's not true. The struggles are there. And it's the climb. So today we're going to talk about one of the most important aspects of life. In fact, it's what life is all about, and that is relationships. It's relationships in a broken world. There are broken relationships, and today we're discovering some very practical advice that comes from the mouth of Jesus as we climb and as we navigate. And everybody has to do this, whether they choose to intentionally or not, is navigate those relational items. So here's what Jesus said: a new command I give to you, not an old one, not a washed up, recycled one, not one from the Old Testament, it's brand new, a new, brand spanking new. Kind of like the shoes I'm wearing. They're brand new and they feel amazing. Jesus said, I'm going to give you a new command. It's brand new. Love one another. In other words, have healthy relationships. As I have loved you, so you must love one another. By this everyone will know that you are my disciples if you actively engage with loving each other. Whether friendships, work associates, family, extended family, regardless of what it is, technology, as you know, has changed our lives. The term friend is evolving. A friend used to mean someone that you did life with, lifelong friends. But because people move so often, because of the way life has evolved over the decades, it's hard to find friends that you grew up with and that you stay in contact with and maybe even live in the same area. Today, a friend can be somebody that you've actually never met. I have friends that I've never met in person, but they are genuine friends. It's not unusual, whether if you're younger and you're on the gaming networks or through work, to have work associates, people all over the world that you have a bond with, have a kinship with, and people that you may never meet. Yet you interact with them on personal terms and on business terms. The term friend is evolving. And we're becoming more addicted to immediate affirmation. We are becoming more addicted to immediate affirmation. Yes, it's a chemical thing, but it's detrimental to our health as a society and as individuals. It's selfies on Instagrams and Twitter. How many likes did I get? Did it go viral? Did people like it? Oh, why didn't they? We're addicted to that chemical reaction. Here's what's interesting. In the year I'm recording this, And this study just came out this year, 3 years after COVID, that of Americans, 52% of Americans report feeling lonely. That's a struggle. That's a that's huge number. Huge number. Never used to be that high. Huge number. 59, now here's the interesting part. 59% of Americans say they have a best friend, but 12% say they feel like they don't have any close friends, while at the same time, 57% of Americans report eating all meals by themselves. Where are their friends? You're not having meals with your friends or your family? It has become an epidemic of, while you can text, you can tag, you can post, the loneliness and the anxiety of Americans because of that has skyrocketed. Las Vegas, by the way, and Washington, D.C., and Denver are the 3 loneliest cities in the U.S. And loneliness is 3 times higher in those 3 cities than anywhere else in America. Wyoming actually is the loneliest state of all the states per capita. There might be some reasons for that, but Wisconsin, of all places, is, according to these stats, is the least lonely state in America per capita. And 58% of Americans sometimes or always feel like no one knows them well. That's devastating. Loneliness is an epidemic. Friendship, the definition has turned. And the question is, as we climb in life, as we continue to move forward, how do we navigate this struggle of friendship and loneliness? See, we have the power to do our friendships on our own terms, the way we want to do friendships. And I never used to do that way, be that way. If you wanted friends, you had to show up. When I was young, I used to take my bike out at dinner during the summers, and all the kids in the neighborhood would be on their bikes, and we'd meet up and we would hang out. If you weren't there, then you weren't friends. You couldn't do it by proxy or virtually. You had to physically show up. So we have the power to do friendship on our own terms. That may not be a good thing. In fact, it's not a good thing. But we have to navigate, what does that look like, and how do we become healthy? How do we become healthy through all that? Whether it's, a friend leaves you a voicemail and you don't get to it for a while, or a text. There was none of that when I was growing up and to have friends. I will say that the more we use social media, the more we crave personal interaction. The more we use it, the more we use, again, while there's nothing wrong with social media, there is a emptiness that can come about that we have to navigate and understand and mitigate. We feel more connected than ever before. How many friends do you have on Facebook? How many friends do you have on Facebook? We feel more connected before because we are. But never have we ever felt so alone. Let me give you the main idea I want to just kind of hammer in. Love requires personal interaction, and that can be in person, and that can be through FaceTime, but you need that personal interaction. C.S. Lewis said to love at all is to be vulnerable. Love anything in your heart will certainly be wrung and possibly broken. If you want to make sure of keeping it intact, it must You must give your heart to no one. Wrap it carefully with hobbies and little luxuries. Lock it up safe in the casket of your selfishness. But in that casket, it will change. It will not be broken. It will become unbreakable, impenetrable, and irredeemable. The only place outside of heaven where you can be perfectly safe from the dangers of love is hell. That's from C.S. Lewis. Let me give you some tips that might help. And items from the Bible that we talk about often here at backcountry.church, because we want to understand this struggle exists, but we also want to navigate it successfully. It's kind of like when I was hiking a peak down in LA, and I was on a ridge with about 1,000 feet down on either side, and I had to navigate some areas of that. Oh, there's a bee on my screen. Huh. Well, there's backcountry.church, connecting with nature. As I was saying, it wasn't that long ago I was hiking down in LA, and it was a pretty high peak there. I think it was called the Dragon's Lair or something like that. It was a ridge with about 1,000 feet on either side. I had to navigate to make sure I didn't fall off of it. Of course, I was by myself, and I had my poles, which was good. But I had to navigate it. I had to think through it. I had to be intentional. I think when it comes to relationship, we need to be intentional about what we do and what we don't do and when we do it. So the first of a couple things is be present. I know that sounds silly, but be present. I will love people face to face, not just thumb to thumbs, as in texting. Like, if at all possible, get together with them. Now look, it's not always possible, I get that. But when possible, go out of your way and schedule a face-to-face time with people. On the eighth day, God created airplanes, so feel free to use one of those. Don't just pretend to love others, Romans 12 says. Really love them. Love each other with genuine affection and take delight in honoring each other. When God's people are in need, be ready to help them. Be ready to help them. I think there's different levels of this. There's the pray for somebody. And look, that is like critical. It's not, oh, I'll pray for you and then I don't. No. Actually pray for them. And if you want to tell me praying for them, fine. If not, that's fine, but pray for them. Talk and listen to them. Again, whether it's over the phone, whether it's on Zoom, whether it's in person, listen to them. And then finally go and see them, be with them. And if you feel comfortable, go backpacking with them or go for a hike. That's one of the most disarming things you can do. There are places you can hike or go for a walk around town or in the country or in the mountains where you live or by the ocean, and take a couple friends and just say, hey, just let's meet up and let's spend a few hours together with no agenda. The ideal and the real, there's a gap of how I want it and how reality is. And the difference can be frustrating. In the ideal, we would eat dinner together as a family around the table every night. But in the real world, we eat in the minivan between baseball and soccer. In the ideal world, we read a chapter of one of the classics and from the Bible to the kids before they go to bed. But in the real world, we're watching a video of some children's program. In the ideal world, we would have time for long walks on the beach or in the mountains every day as a couple. But in the real world, we text each other because we don't have time to talk. In the ideal world, and this is the struggle of it, isn't it? In the ideal world, kids grow up, leave the nest, go out, and they soar. In the real world, they come back. Like some of you probably came back. Look, in the ideal world, families look like, the Brady Bunch or the Cleavers. You may not even know them. Leave it to Beaver. In the real world, we look more like the Simpsons, okay? Maturity is living with the fact that the ideal and the real are different. But being able to live in the real world and still have a dream for growing and bettering relationships, there is a struggle. There is a climb when it comes to relationships and friendships. And I want you to be intentional about this. Let me give you number 2, be engaged. The first one was be present. The second is be engaged. Be engaged. Most important of all, continue to show deep love for each other. 1 Peter 4:8. He's talking to the church, backcountry.church. He's talking to you. Don't be isolated. Don't be missing. Be engaged in action. Dear children, let's not merely say that we love each other, but let's show the truth by our actions. 1 John 3:18. And finally, coming back full circle, what Jesus talked about. A new command I give to you, love one another. As I have loved you, so you must love one another. By this, everyone will know that you are my disciples, if you love one another. I got to tell you a story about hiking. So I didn't know I was going to be hiking this, so I brought a hiking shirt and my hiking shoes that I literally just put on. I had some gear, but I didn't have my poles. I had a sweatshirt on. It's the wrong gear. You never wear a sweatshirt. You can go for a hike. Anyways, so as I was hiking, I was becoming exhausted. And somebody gave me a hiking pole. And as I was using it for a while, this hiking pole had been set there on the edge, and the guy coming down said, was that the blue pole that was there? I said, yes, thank you so much. Man, what a blessing that was for a short, probably half hour or so, as I'm hiking up maybe 500-600 feet. It was such a blessing that somebody recognized the need and said, how can I help? And then, believe it or not, I have a selfie stick, and it fell out of my pocket. Oops. And somebody said, why? It's one of the reasons I love hikers, is somebody said, is this anybody's? Oh my gosh, that's mine. Thank you so much. At the peak, I saw some guy, he was looking for the markers. There's USGS markers on most peaks in the country. I asked him if he was looking for it. He said, yeah. I said, look, let me look for a second. And guess what? I found it, told him where it is. And that was a blessing to him. Look, be a blessing. Have relationships, have friendships, have acquaintances. That's important. Bless your work associates, make them laugh, let them enjoy life, and help people connect with God and with others and themselves as you do this, hopefully through the enjoyment of nature. And you can do that all over the country. Well, I want to show you about this hike that I did. But in the meantime, I hope you'll download the app. You'll join me there in the app. Join me as we are in a current challenge. You can look that up. We are on podcasts, every major podcast. I would love for you to write a review, a 5-star review. If you got something bad to say it to somebody else, not me, and not backcountry. We just want to be a blessing. So with that, let me pray. Father, I thank you so much for this moment, for this time. God, would you help us as we climb, as we navigate through the struggles of life? May we be a blessing so much to people, I ask. In Jesus' name. And all God's people said, amen. Take a look. By the way, if you go to the Apple App Store or Google Play, download backcountry.church app. Join us there.